Evans, and I am the first grade teacher here at Tacoma Elementary School. Tonight, I'm going to read you a story titled Abdul's Story. Abdul's story paints a picture about a boy who told some of the most amazing stories, but he struggled with transferring his stories into words, into writing. And I know some of us struggle with it. So let's read this text and see how he overcame that obstacle. Abdul loved to tell stories. He told one about the high-stepping kids who collected donations in boots, another about the teenagers who danced in subway cars. He had one about the bow-tie wearing man hawking bean pies on Broad Street, and even one about the woman who sold water ice from her basement on hot summer days. Where have you told a story about? Writing these stories was hard though. Making lowercase b face the right way was tricky. P and S too. Silent letters were downright sneaky. How could Abdul know there was an E if it never made a sound? Have you worked with silent E? Abdul loved straight lines like the ones his barber shaved. But Abdul's scribbly, scratchy, scrawly letters never stayed on any line. During writing period each day, he wrote, then erased his mistakes. Wrote, then erased. Wrote, then erased. His classmates had neat sentences. Abdul had smudges. Why write his stories anyway? The people and places in his school books never looked or sounded like the people or places he knew. Some stories are for books, Abdul decided, but not his. One day, Abdul's class had a visitor. Who do you think that visitor was? Mr. Muhammad had lines straighter than straight around his beard and hairline. His sneakers, like Abdul's, had not a single crease or scuff. Mr. Muhammad was a writer. That reminds me, when I get my hair cut and that fresh hairline, and I can't stop looking in the mirror because I just look so handsome. He read a story about a watchful boy with hair shaved low and skin the color of night. Women braided hair on front steps in this story. Girls with clacking beads jumped rope, and men in white thobes prayed on the sidewalk outside a Ford storefront mosque. The boy watched over this community, writes new stories with new superheroes, Mr. Muhammad said. Superhero? What is he talking about? Abdul pressed his paper down firmly. He could be an author like Mr. Muhammad. But B played tricks again. Is it D or is it B? I used to struggle with that too, you know. Mr. Muhammad walked around reading each child's work. He was getting close. The silence ego here. Silence you. Erase, erase, erase. Abdul tried writing neatly. Write, erase. Write, erase. Write, erase. Rip. He slammed down his pencil. Jada and Kwame had pages of words. Abdul had a hole. Have you ever felt like you envied someone because you thought they could do something better than you? I know I've had plenty of moments like that. Abdul slid down, down, down under the table. He imagined an eraser big enough to erase himself. Now, why would you want to erase yourself from this world? Because we're all unique and we all can do wonderful things. We just have belief in ourselves. Let's keep reading. Nice sneaks. Can I see your story? Mr. Muhammad asks. I don't got a story. Abdul whispered. Everyone has stories, but I can't write like them. Abdul pointed. Me neither, Mr. Muhammad said. Come with me. I want to show you my notebook. Whoa! That's a mess. What's going on right there? I get messy words out so good words could come too. I fixed the mess later. Before walking away, he said, keep trying. That gave Abdul an idea. Bismillah, he said. You know what my teacher used to say? There's a method for this madness. Snot. Abdul scribbled words and made mistakes without racing. He wrote around the hole, filling the page. I wrote a mess like yours, Abdul told Mr. Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad smiled. Find a great story in here? Abdul squinted. He saw words, misspelled, but wondrous, and sloppy-looking sentences he loved. And I always tell my kids, it's all about inventive writing. Just continue to write and write and write. We'll worry about the spellings later. Okay? Sometimes you just have to keep writing, writing, writing. Over the next few days, Abdul rewrote a less messy mess, then an even less messy mess. He smiled when he read his story to himself. But when it was time to hand it in, he didn't feel like smiling. You spelled the word wrong, Kwame added. Abdul slipped his paper underneath the others. Some kids are writers, Abdul thought. But not me. Days later, Mr. Muhammad returned. I loved your stories, he exclaimed. I had to read one again and again and again and again. It was so good. Everyone sat up. Everyone except Abdul. Kwame whispered, I bet it was mine. I spelled every word right. Jada whispered back, he probably liked mine. I have the best handwriting. Mr. Muhammad started reading the story in a loud, clear voice. It was about a boy with tall hair shaped like sharp lines and skinned orange-brown at sunrise. He watched over the kids stomp, stomp, stepping down the block and the ones breaking to the beat of a city train. He even protected grown-ups who sold things and were like family. Abdul sat up. It was his story. And then Mr. Muhammad paused. He frowned at the page. Abdul's cheeks burned. Everyone listened, wide-eyed. Mr. Muhammad read on, stopping a few more times at mistakes until he reached the end of the story. That was by Abdul, Mr. Muhammad said. Abdul slowly looked up. Everyone stared. Were they smiling? Yes! Yes! And they were clapping too. Great story! Kwame told Abdul. I loved it, said Jada. And look at that support. It feels good to get support from your peers and people that you learn with each and every day. It gives us a sense of we're unique, we're different, but we're talented in our own ways. And when people support us, it helps us manifest the gift that we have inside of us. Let's get ready to find out. When they returned to their writing, Abdul whispered to Mr. Muhammad, "What about my mistakes?" Writers make mistakes. We'll work on them. As they worked, Abdul thought, some people are writers, and I am one of them. You see the shift in that growth mindset? Because before, he said, I am not one of them. I am not a writer. Then he had people in his corner to support him, alongside him, and now he has the confidence to say, I am one of them. I am a writer. The end. And before we go to sleep, I want you to talk to someone in your home and tell them something that you really want to do. Because I'm pretty sure there's at least one person that will be there the way. Good night.